Alright, so it's back to Marvelous Designer where we're going to fix this kind of ruffled collar, and it was just a process of basically looking at this and saying, okay, it's following the concept art but it doesn't look quite right. So when I started launching a bit of an investigation into ruffled collars and how they actually look, I found this one here, which is kind of the idea I had initially, where the collar would be tucked under the shirt collar, what have you, but that didn't work out in the end because I decided to get rid of the shirt collar in favor of a ruffled collar. And then here's a kind of like similar to the modern ruffled collar where we use buttons, and you can see there's ruffles towards the top as well, which is kind of helping to fill out that neck area a bit. Then I found this one there where the ruffles have gone quite high above the neck area, and this is starting to get closer and closer to Lady Maria, until I found this one here, and I thought, well, this is a nice one because this is very aristocratic looking. It's what I imagine Lady Maria would have. So essentially this thick thing that wraps around her neck here, eventually it'll become about as thick as that area there. Okay, so it's going to be about half its size. In order to do the ruffling, we have to go back to Marvelous Designer, of course. So back in Marvelous Designer here, we've got this. I've just loaded up the one where we finished doing the ruffled collar in the first place. Okay, now if you haven't got this file saved out, you simply just need to start with a rectangle that's the circumference of her neck. That's fine, you don't need the rest of it. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, instead of freezing this stuff here, I'm going to unfreeze them. I'm going to select everything else, and I'm just going to deactivate them all because I don't want them in the simulation. Okay, in fact you could delete them if you wanted to. So let's Control C, Control V this collar here, because this is the circumference of her neck. That's what we want. We want the same kind of circumference. You could use the white ruffled collar one as well, but that's a bit tight. Let's keep with the more loose options for now. In fact, you know what? We don't need any of that, so let's just delete it. We don't need them there. We don't need that either. Okay, so we could actually put this over her neck, but nah, we'll just leave it over here for now. Okay. Right, so all I want to do here is, no, we don't want this deactivated. We want that activated. Where is activate? There it is. Okay, but we don't want it to fall. So I think what we need to do here is we should be able to, let's just freeze this for now. Okay, there we go. And what we want to do is create a rectangle roughly about the same size of it, maybe slightly bigger. Something like that. Okay, let's put the collar material on there. Whilst we're at it, let's change it to something super light, like the nylon featherweight one. Okay, and then before we do anything else, let us just pre-stitch that. We'll pre-stitch that to here, but of course we need to come in, we need to delete all these extra splits. Oops. Because we're not worried about stitching it to the shirt anymore. We'll just stitch that one to one like so. In fact, is that inverted? Might be inverted. Nope, that was okay. So we'll stitch it like that. Okay, fabulous. Right, it does look kind of crisscrossed at the moment, but that's probably because it's not round. So that's okay. We'll soon see anyhow. Okay. So with that done, this is going to be the kind of ruffled part there. I'd say let's select this outer edge. We'll offset as internal line. Let's do about 40 ruffles, and we'll space that out maybe by 8 millimeters each, maybe 8.5. Okay, we'll do 39 at 8.5. Why not? Press OK. We've got lots of segments there for potential ruffles. Okay. Now, for me, I know I usually go with the box pleats, but for now, I'm thinking I'm going to go with the accordion pleats, maybe the knife. Let's try the knife pleats actually. We'll increase the number of internal lines per pleat to 3. Let's just play with some settings here. Press OK. Right, so what that's going to do, last thing we've got to do, we'll stitch that to itself, so it's going to be round as well. Let's just see what we get. It's only going to be on particle distance 20, so it isn't going to be anything fabulous. Okay, so let's see. Let's just kind of help free itself a little bit there. Okay, that's not bad. Now you notice I'm doing the inverted wave. I thought these were going to stick up. But yes, well, we're going to stick up once we rotate it back up. Okay, so I'm kind of cheating. I've got a dastardly way of doing this. So let's go ahead and we'll select the shape. Let's bring particle distance down to 5 because there's nothing else in our scene. I think the GPU can be relatively okay with that for now. Okay, now there is a bit of an issue here where it is kind of folded in on itself a little bit there. That's not ideal, so I tell you what, let's set this, well, we'll kind of delete the sewing for now, so it's not beholden to that particular part there. And we'll freeze our pleats for now. Okay, we'll unfreeze this guy. And let's just sit him back over the neck again, just so he doesn't fall to the floor. And there we go. Okay, fix that a little bit. Now that that's all fixed, we can stitch that back up. There we go. And now that should have got rid of that little extra area. Oops. Don't freeze it. No, we don't want it frozen. Let's unfreeze it first. There we go. Ah. Oh, that was close. Let's undo it. We'll freeze this one. Ah. Now, yes, my brain's finally working, guys. I know it takes a while before it starts to work. It's very special that way. So it's a little bit long. Let's shorten it a bit. Maybe something like that. We don't want the pleats incredibly long. Shorten it a little bit. Yeah, okay, that doesn't look too bad. What if we add a curve into it? What does that do? Probably really royally messes everything, but let's see. Well, it's not too bad, you know. It's okay. It's not too bad. It's kind of roughly. We could actually play with the pressure a little bit too. Of course, that's just going to go all the way in. And, oh, do you see what that is, guys? That, to me, looks like a happy little accident. Wouldn't you agree? Well, that's the opposite there. And if we swing it back up, it's a happy little accident. A true Bob Ross moment. This has given me an idea. Right. Scratch what we've been doing so far. Let's take the sewing. Where's our sewing? Now, it's probably Marvelous Designer experts out there just basically rolling your eyes at me. I know. You've probably got a better way of doing this. But this is the way I do it. So I'll rotate that round. I'll bring it back up. Let's just check where all that is in respects to this. So that area there is all the way back there. So it is flipped now. So okay, let's just can we rotate it? Flip horizontally. There we go. So that should line up with. Nope, not really. No, it hasn't done that. So what about that side? That side is okay. So it's a little bit crisscrossed. That's unfortunate. Let's see. Just a bit of figuring out to do. Let's stitch it that way. It's crisscrossed. Okay, let's stitch there to there. And that's a bit better. So it's going to kind of flump a little bit. But let's see what happens, shall we? Ah! Chaos. Chaos is what happens. But if we applied it... Ah! Yes. Yes. There we go. So it's standing on end. That's for sure. It's certainly standing on end. Let's reduce the pressure a little bit. Oh, not too much. Oh, it's just a tad. Just a tad. Maybe put it to 0. Oh, okay. So it's just kind of curling in a little bit like that. I think we need to do minus 0.5. No, not minus 5. Minus 0.0. Of course, Marvelous Designer says, no, we do not do minus 0.5. Okay, let's see. What have we got here? Can we not do minus 0.5? Looks like we can. Yeah, there we go. Just couldn't do it with the big slider up there, which is a bit strange. But hey, that's Marvelous Designer. Let's right click. We'll flip the normals. Because we want the kind of coloured sections on the outside. We're not too bothered about the insides. Okay, it's kind of collapsing in on itself disappointingly. Let's bring it back to 0. Interesting. With 0 it tends to ruffle back out again. Is that just because I flipped the normals? It does look like it's just because I flipped the normals. What a bizarre piece of software this is sometimes. Let's try 0.3. Okay, 0.3 looks okay. I quite like that. In fact, the curvy random elements to it kind of almost help. I might just reduce it a little bit, although that has sort of given me a bit of an idea, because is that it's still the top edge essentially, right? So what we could do is talking about this here, we can split that top edge no problem. So let's maybe split this into 4 uniform sections. This is just to add a bit of variation. Okay, so we'll go to curvature and let's just basically do this. Okay, just to kind of change it, the variation a little bit. Could possibly invert that. Okay, doesn't matter what have you, either way. You could also be quite severe about the undulations. Quite crisp undulations if you want. Depends on the style of ruffle that you're looking for. I'm game for more hardcore ruffles. Okay. Simulate that. Okay, so this ruffle's a little bit high, so I'll just bring that down a bit. Don't want them quite peeking over the parts there. Okay, simulate that. Okay, it's not bad. I don't mind the look of that. What we'll do, just before we kind of call it a day, let's just try some different pleats. Let's try box pleats. Yeah, that's okay. Let's try box pleats, but with this 9270, so a bit more spread out. Let's try accordion pleats. Yeah, that's quite crumpled, isn't it? So let's try accordion pleats with 9270. Yeah, it's spaced out a bit. We can't really see too much going on in terms of difference here. Knife pleats, very similar. So it looks like what it's telling us basically is that it doesn't have enough information to sort of swap between the different styles of pleats just yet. So 12240 seems to space the pleats out quite a bit. That's not what we want. We want it sort of folded inwards. Let's try number 2 like that. Ah, okay, that looks a bit better. So number of folds set to 2 seems to do a bit of a better job there. Okay, and to be honest with you, I kind of like the back a little bit more than the front, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, we can change some of this up a little bit later. We could always play with the pressure a little bit. In fact, because this is working out so well, why don't we actually move this over to the neck? Okay, so we'll actually unfreeze this guy here and just let it simulate around the neck. Okay, there we go. And I just want to spread this out a little bit. There we go. So actually, if we make it that part there, that's an undulating part. So let's go to curvature. I want that to be higher. See the changes reflect. There we go. And what's this part there? That's also a hill. So let's make that a bit more apparent. There we go. Okay, and this part here. So what I think I'll do is for this split here, I'll get rid of that and just do a big curvature up. Like so. So make the back of the collar higher than the rest of it. Okay, we haven't even played with any of these settings yet. There we go. Let's see what these can do for us. Yeah, so we can make it quite ruffled, as you can see. So maybe 105. What happens if we do something crazy like 120? Ah, not much is the answer to that question. Okay. Yep, 110. It just makes it a bit higher towards the back. Yeah, let's stay on 110, let's say. Okay, so there you go. Alright, now once that's done, you can select this part here. We just want the ruffles here. We can File, Export, Selected. and you're going to import that into ZBrush. Actually, I've got a file here already, inverted ruffles, that's fine. Press yes. Okay, press OK. And let's go back to ZBrush now, and we'll do another subtool. Insert, we'll insert a dummy subtool like this cylinder here. We'll go to import, and we'll select where we saved our inverted ruffles, and now it's disappeared, it looks like. But if we zoom way out, remember the scale between ZBrush and Marvelous Designer is wonky at best. Oops, not the bend. The size. As soon as you start bringing the size of that down, you can see it suddenly starts magically appearing in our 3D window space. And once he's in the same space there, you can use your actual gizmo and just rein it in and put it into position. Let's rotate it a little bit. Okay, that's pretty centerized. So let's put it into position. Now, to get this working and looking nice, what we've got to do is hide some of the stuff here so we can just work on it kind of annoyed with all this extra stuff. So let's just hide this stuff. We'll hide some of the straps here. We will have to clean our subtool palette up, don't worry. I'm definitely aware of that. But for now, let's focus on this. We'll clear any mask, and I think what we'll do is get the poly frames up. We want to basically halve the number of polys here, because this is too much when it's going to be half the size. I'd ZRemesh it again. There we go. And I'm just going to use the scale tool. Now the scale tool is probably offset. It's probably, where is it? The scale tool is all the way down there. So let's unlock that. Bring it back up to somewhere sensible. There we go. Lock it in and scrunch it down. And then move it down. Okay. Probably still a bit too high. Scrunch it down. Move it around. Feel free to rotate to your flavor. And then let's move it. My move tool. There it is. Okay. Just bring it back out of the shirt collar again. But now it's half the size it was. And then we'll do the same for this guy. We'll have his number of polygons as well. And I say do it again. And again. And for this guy, we'll just transform local symmetry, and we'll use symmetry just to squash it down. There we go. Okay. So now we've got all this playroom here for this collar to just slot and tuck itself into, but not in the current state it's in. We need to go to ZRemesher, and let's just run it through ZRemesh. See what it does. Okay, so actually increase the polygon count significantly there. Let's bring the polygon counts down to 1K. See what it does. It's still a bit dense, but that's okay. We can deal with that. Let's scale it. We'll shrink it down a little bit, and we'll just kind of now use the move tool and just tuck it into the collar we've just resized. Okay, and once we've kind of tucked it into the collar we've just resized, we've got to bring the vest back and check how it looks with the vest as well. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here is I'm just tucking it in the lower sections of it all. Just be a bit careful about it. I'm going to switch to my stylus here. Actually, I might want to use my standard brush and just bulldoze it back in a bit. And then once I've bulldozed it back in, I can then use my more accurate move topological brush just to kind of push that to conform a bit more. There we go. Okay. So it's naturally flaring out around the neck there, which is cool. That's what we want. Although here maybe it's gone a bit too far, so we can kind of rein it in a little bit. Okay, and then just go once around the bottom end here with the standard brush. Just push it in a little bit. Just in a little bit, just to hide the bottommost edge. And then you can pull it out, and then of course always feel free to actually expand this collar as well. There's no reason why it's the ruffles part that has to make way. Okay. And there we go, we've got a much nicer looking collar now. Go to double on that so we can see the inside of it. There we go. Okay, so like I said before, last part, we'll bring back the vest, we'll bring the straps. Oh, wrong straps. There we go, and let's just see how it looks there. Make sure it doesn't clip. It's clipping a little bit here. Let's get rid of a hair. Okay, and any part is kind of clipping, use a combination of your Move topological brush and your standard brush just to push it a little bit away from the collar, just so there's not too much clipping. Don't worry about the hair just yet unless you're really set on that default bob hairstyle. Okay, because we haven't even addressed what hairstyle our character's going to have just yet. And by all means, adjust the shape. You can, if you want it to be a bit more fanning out, you can come in with your standard brush there and knock in some of the polys, okay, to kind of create a bit more of it kind of flaring out at the top. You can exaggerate that by going to the top and using the standard version of the standard brush. And of course, you can edit and tweak, you can smooth, what have you. Okay, the power is yours at this point. Okay, take polyframe off there, put the hair back on and make a decision. Do we like the look of that? I think I will tweak it a little bit more. I just want it sort of tucked in a bit more and flaring out at the tops. Tucked in a bit more and flaring out at the tops. But always, not always so flared out, maybe just kind of a bit tighter in some areas. This is just flavor now. Okay, so your mileage will vary. Tweak as you see fit and as you like per your tastes. Just put that there, and then see here we've got this shirt collar there. We could sort of come with a standard brush here and just buff that bit out, or we can tell the shirt collar, hey, just go away, get tucked away. Oh, we still got this old shirt here. We definitely need to clean up our subtools. Let's do that now. This is for the strap, so let's invert that. We'll delete this dummy shirt we created for the strap a few videos ago. There we go. Okay, but now what we should have there is a much nicer looking collar now. Okay, we've got it. Makes a bit more sense, looks a bit more aristocratic. This of course needs to kind of tuck under here properly, but that's all stuff that we can sort out a little bit later. In fact, what I would sort of say is I would even encourage some areas here to pull down over the kind of collar there like that. Okay, that looks even nicer if it kind of hangs out over the center part there like that, which it seems to naturally want to do anyway if you look at some of the folds. Okay, and there we go, we've got a very aristocratic looking cowgirl essentially. Okay, which is what we set out to do. Alright, so play around with those settings, feel free to have a look at it, make some tweaks as you see fit. Whatever looks nicest to you, your mileage will vary, okay, but that collar definitely looks a lot better now. Alright, so just one more video left of this section, guys. All we're going to do is we'll compare this to our concept art and see how far we've come.